Hi, Internet viewers. Frank Rauscher again. We're back at it. I've sprayed the goldfinch with the Krylon spray. Now, I've told you what I've used, but I'm going to be honest with you. Krylon has changed the numbers a few times, so you really have to check. You may want to check with the company itself. I used, originally it was 1301, then it went to 51301. Then I think somebody stated that it's got 51301-007. I'm not sure of the exact numbers anymore. I would like to say I do have the Krylon spray, but I cannot ship it out to you. The post office will not allow me to ship aerosol cans out, so I cannot take care of you on that. Now, the thing you may want to do is verify that you have the right Krylon spray, and what it does, it soaks in to the piece. I'm going to try to show you. Let's see if I can find my not really. Well, here's the piece that we've been working on, and I've sprayed it. And here is one that I was working on. You can see the color difference. It gets a little, I would say, darker, like a tan, and that occurs from the spraying. And what I do is the Krylon spray I have, this here, I hold it at about 6 inches, do it outside because it's a lacquer and it tends to really smell up the area, and it's safer if you do it outside, okay, so you don't get the fumes and what have you. And I spray it until it looks wet, and it doesn't take that long. And then I flip around, and I do this by hand too, and I spray the top, the tail, and then sit it down, but never sit it down on anything that's like plastic. Okay, if you have a piece of wood, like if you have a chance, like you get a block of wood and you just set it on there, you're probably better off, okay? If you get it on plastic, that lacquer will start melting the plastic and it could attach itself to it, and then you got another mess on your hands. So avoid that. There are other sealers. I tried to go back in. I did a Q&A on this before and tried to evaluate different ones. Tough, I think it was TUF or something like that, which is another sealer, which is some people had recommended. I wish I could go back in my videos and find it. I did it somewhere, and I got different reports. And I'm going to ask you again if anybody has a good sealer. Now, what the sealer does, I spray it, and then it goes into the wood, and it seals the wood so that when we use acrylics with water, it doesn't swell up and you don't lose your detail. And that's what we're trying to protect, okay? And it makes it really permanent. Now, I've also showed you where I use super glue on the beak to make it bony, and that super glue is the watered down one. It's got a red lid. You can get that at a dollar store. It's the cheapest one you want to get. Very watery, but you just want to put it with the applicator so it just covers the beak. And if you get too much out, go it this way. Let it drip off this way rather than go back into your detail, because it can fill that up. And it becomes a nuisance sometimes when you're trying to paint. You may not always want to adhere. So this is what you want to do, is that seals the beak and it makes it look bony looking, okay? And that's one way to achieve it. The super glue goes into the pores and really you can sand it. And that's what I'm going to show you here pretty soon. And we sand that afterwards, and I'm going to show you how to do that too. And then what I'm going to do is show you my method for the undercoat. We're going to use a Krylon, not a spray, a Krylon paint white titanium white, and I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And we'll proceed on with that. And what this is a base coat, so that when we start applying colors onto it, you'll get a real true color and not a dilution of maybe the brown that would be on the bird itself from the wood. This will give you a much truer value of the colors we apply onto the piece. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to show you how we go about sealing it, and then I'll try to show you some of the pitfalls. Now, one of the things I told you to do, and I hope you've done it from the last video, before you even spray this, I have, let's see if I have, yeah, here it is. It's right in my handpiece. This is a horsehair brush, okay? If you got a toothbrush, you could do it with that too. And you want to brush this out, get all the dust out. You'd be surprised how much is in all this textured area you got. And you want to do the whole bird. And that's even after the eyes are set and everything else. You go clean around the eyes and the whole bit. So make sure this has been dusted out before you even think about spraying it, okay? Now, we should have a clean area that was sprayed and sealed. Now we're going to go in and we're going to start really getting it set for painting. So be right on top of this about that, okay? In those stages, you got to dust it out before you start sealing, okay? And the other thing I just want to mention to you as well is I do have kits for this bird as well as other birds I did with other series, the cardinal, the finches, the otters, the wrens. I'm doing quite a series of them, and I have them out there if anybody wants to go back and look at the videos I got. I do have kits for them. I have the blanks if you just want a blank or you want just a pattern, or the feet, I have those, or the eyes, whatever you may need. I have them separate as well as in a kit form, and you get everything in the kit that you would need except the paint, of course. And if you need paint, I could help you out with that. I can sell you a set of paints that can do most of the projects that I'm involved with, okay? And I also have the machinery, like used the ram grinder. I sell these units, and they're variable speed, and they go up to 45,000 RPMs. I do sell the Fordhams, which does the hogging, and you can really, that's the flexible cord, and you can, they really do a beautiful job. I've sold them over the years, and I find that Fordham is one of the better ones out there. But hey, whatever you have, my attitude is use what you have. So if you have a Dremel, use the Dremel. You know, don't go buying things you don't need. And the Dremel will get you there. It's just the niceties. You know, some of the Dremels have nice hand pieces, and other ones are bulky. I have a lot of them over the years, and the RAM I really like. It's got the quick disconnect where you can go in and out with a bit real quick, and the speed variations you can set up and the whole bit. Not saying that the Dremel doesn't have that neither. The Dremel will do the job, but just to let you know, I have them available. I even have a battery operated grinder that Fordham makes, which is battery operated, and that'll run for 5 hours on a charge, and it really kicks out. It does about, I think, 30,000 if I'm not mistaken, and that's plenty amount of speed to get whatever projects we're doing here, and that's neat. It's no bigger than a cigarette pack, and you got a cord. You can stick it in your pocket and walk around and do the work if you had to. So I have them available and at a good price as well. So if you're looking for something like that, contact me through my email address, and I'll give you that right now, which is Rauscher, Rauscher, Frank, Frank, 7 at gmail.com. And if you didn't get that, in the description of this video, it has my email address there too. So if you need to get that or anything else, the catalog I do put out has quite a bit of stuff, but there's always something. There's a lot of things I didn't include in there. It's about a 5 or 6 page catalog. And if you need more or other things, contact me. And if I don't have it, I'll try to put you on to where you could get your Best Buy, okay? So no further ado, we're going to move down, and I'm going to try to show you how to seal the bird for painting, okay? So bear with me. Okay, we're back again. What I try to do is guide you in the right direction. But, you know, like I've always said, this is my method, but you can always learn from everybody. So I'm not everything here. I'm just a guy showing you what I think is the best thing going for you. But that is a matter of preference, and I will try to guide you in what I consider is the best direction. So to start out with, one thing I want you to do on the goldfinch here, I've sprayed it with the Krylon spray, and I want to prepare this for painting. Now, we put super glue on here, and let me get the paint out of here before I start here, and this. And what I'm going to do is get a piece of, this is a 120 grit sandpaper. If you got it finer, that's fine too. I'm going to come in and I'm going to sand the bill. Not hard, just get the glaze off, okay? Just enough to get the glaze off. And this way here, when you go to paint, the paint will adhere to the piece, and a lot of times the super glue allows, you can get the paint to stick, but it would take a little more coats, and this takes the glaze off of it, which it would make it more the paint more healable or attachable than it would without. So I come in here and I sand this out pretty good. And I try to do it by hand rather than the rotary tool. You could, but you don't want to reshape things. You're just taking that surface glaze off. And that's mainly the whole crux of it. So if you look at it and you don't see any shininess coming back at you, that means you probably got most of it then, okay? And then I'm going to ask you just to get all that dust out. You can just blow on it and get most of it out of there. And I think we're ready to go. Now, what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to bring back, you just want to get a paper towel. I just have a tissue here right now, and I'm going to utilize that. What I did is I got about a pea size of the titanium white acrylic paint, and this is what I use as my undercoat, and this works out great. I put about a pea size in a cup in a paint tray like this, and if you need the paint trays and stuff like that, I got all that stuff. I also add water to a point of about maybe a fourth of the cup, and then mix it real good because I want sort of like a heavy consistency. I also pour water out in another cup over here so that if I apply too much of the white and it's heavy in one area, I'll water it down a little bit, and I'll show you how I do that, okay? So you can see this is on the creamy side, okay? And I stir this up. I've used this already on another bird I was preparing. I don't know if you remember when I was doing wrens. This is the wren, and I wanted some of this feathering that goes through. So that's things that we'll do here. Like I need to paint this one more time, but you can see the shadowing coming through on here and in the breast area. Sometimes we want to do that. In the case of ours, it's almost most of this is going to be yellow in here, and it's going to be black at the top here, and this here will be black back in here. So we don't really need to worry about getting this. We want it white, but it's really going to be black in here. And this here, the mantle, because it's all yellow, we don't care if we really actually get this to go away, you know. And what I mean by that is coat it enough that it's white, okay? We are going to have black in the head here. So I'll show you as we go. The first thing I want to do is I always start out on the beak itself and come in. And if it seems so heavy, what I'll do is I'll push the paint by just getting my brush wet a little bit. And you'll see it'll dilute what I put on there. And this may cause you to dilute it enough that you may have to do a second coat on this too, you know. And a lot of times that's what I do. I'd rather not have a real heavy coat on there, on the idea that I'll come back, okay? But this does dry where the coloring underneath comes through on the first coat sometimes. So you may have to give this a good 2 coats, okay? But I don't want, you could see where there's like a buildup right there. So I try to always spread the paint out and not let it get like you're doing a plaster job. You're trying to keep things very thin and watery for the most part, so that you can, I just get a little bit of water, just to water it down a little bit. And I don't mind doing a second coat, okay? And I know there are devices that you can get that drill right into the, and let me show you that too. Might as well give you all the tricks of the trade. Hang on. Let me show you this. This is another way of not doing figure painting. Stanley puts these are for starting. If you're going to get a starter for a screw, they have like a screw head already built into this. And what you do is you could come in to where the foot's going to fit. And remember, the feet come in right in the middle between the distance between the beak and the tail. Right in the middle, that would be where one of your feet are going to go. So one way to handle this is you get this device and you just keep on turning it. And you want to be about 1/4 of an inch out. Could be 1/4 to 3/8. And you just keep on twisting this. It'll self-tap itself right into the piece. Let me show you this. I'm so used to holding this in my hand and doing finger painting, and I get a lot of paint on my hand anyway, but this is one way to keep things clean, okay? We're going to get smart a little bit here in that respect. So here we go. Now we got something that we can hold, and this is Stanley puts it out. It's like for a self-tapping screw setup, okay? And they're inexpensive. They're not that expensive at all. And you can get them at most of the hardware stores around. So I'm coming in here, if you notice, I start from the head. Even if I were holding this, I'll get a little bit of water just to not have a heavy buildup anywhere. I want to try to get a nice even coat throughout. And if it just seems like it's not moving too well, I'll just add some water. And we'll do this. And this is a smart way of doing it, although I hate to say it, I don't always do it, but that's me. I usually hold the tail and paint the tail last. But this is what I do anyway. And when I teach classes, I try to make these available so that people that are painting have different ways of doing it. And some people like to get more paint on their hands than they do the birds sometimes. So that's another way of not doing it right. But, hey, we all like to get into the act a different way, So I'm going to come in here. And if you notice, wherever I see it looking like it's building up, my attitude is I don't want that. So I just keep on moving it. And if the paint ain't moving real well, then I water it down a little bit. Because as much as I got a creaminess here, I don't want it going on like a blotch, where it looks like it's loading up in one spot. I'm trying to get everything to have an even coat. And I know I was talking to some people that were saying about airbrushing and stuff like that. You have to really practice with airbrushing. And if you had an airbrush, this would give you a nice even coat. If you're proficient at that, this is a good place to have that. I do have airbrushes available if somebody wants them. They're inexpensive. It's a double action one. And they're not bad. They're not bad. And if you really want to see some, I'm a brush painter myself, and I have several good airbrushes. And you can spend a lot of money for some of them, but I have a real inexpensive one I think you could get by with pretty well. And if anybody's interested, I have those. And you got to really water down your paints. And a lot of times you really need the paint for airbrushing. And I could recommend some paints there for you too. I used to have some. I don't know what I have left. But I've tried airbrushing. You'll see me use the brush 99% of the time. And that's just me. It's like an old dog trying to teach him new tricks, I'm there. So what we're doing here is I want to make sure I got a nice even coat all over and nothing's building up, and at least everything has got a good coating. I'll sometimes brush it in this way, but I like to stroke it all in one direction if I can. That to me I find works out pretty good. Now I'm going to rinse my brush out in some water here and take that out, but never let the brush sit too long. Now I'm going to get a hair dryer like this, and I'm going to, don't blow it over your paint, but onto your piece, and here we go. It's going to be a little noisy, and you're going to see this lighten up. Once the paint dries, it soaks in, and you'll actually see some of the ghosting coming through. Now, like with the wren that I showed you, that is what I want, the ghosting to come through. But on this bird, when you get into the head and the mantle and the cheek area and the breast area, it's all white. It's basically all white. Your wings are going to be black, and so is the top of your head going to be black. And I'll show you when we get into painting that. But you can see that some of this, as it dries, it comes right on through. So we're going to come and give this a second coat of paint. But I don't want to see it build up anywhere. If you see it build up coming, then I'm going to ask you just stop that. Come in with a little bit of water. I see a little bit in the tail area here. So you just come in and touch it up before it gets set up and anywhere else, because you don't want to build up of the undercoat paint, okay? So I'll just come in here and sort of spread it out, and then we'll go back to, and try not to get the air to blow over the paint or the paintbrush, okay? So I'm doing that. And you want to get this nice and dry in the first coat. There's a lot of times, if you don't have it dry, this is even when you're putting washes on, if you don't have it dry, when you go to put the brush down again, even though you're putting another coat, a second coat or something like that, the brush acts as a sponge a lot of times and picks up the paint you put down the first time, and it just sucks it up, and you've lost the coat that you originally started. So you want to make sure that you're dry pretty good, and it doesn't take that long to get it dry, because you're not loading it up with a lot of water, you know. And most of the coats we do are really not too much water in it, okay? Now, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come through the head again. I'm going to do the beak again. I'm just going to push it. I'm going to go a little more water this time, so that a lot of the, you know, I know some people have made comments about we exaggerate, and we do in some cases. Now, I burned a certain technique on top that has that pattern work like it is in the mantle right here. But the whole thing is, you hardly see any of these feathers on the bird. The bird is really very smooth. And if we had the mantle and most of the head white, you really don't see the feathering, okay? But we try to enhance it a little bit. It's sort of like shadow painting some of this. In the same way, I did not lift these feathers in the breast area. And a lot of times you'll see me do birds that are, what's the name? Raised. And in this case here, I'm trying to keep a smoother setup on the breast area. And that's not always the case. Sometimes I'll exaggerate and raise the feathers just to give a little more prominence to the bird. Like, it just makes it a little more appealing. We take a little license on it, and in most cases, the feathers aren't that prominent. The only prominent ones are like the tail and the wings, okay? And I take a little license. Most all carvers do, you know, and you got to sort of find a happy medium that satisfies you. I try to detail as much as I can, okay, and make it look the way I want it to look. And we take a little license there, I'll be honest with you. And but I think it enhances the look of the bird. Okay, we're not that far off of a reality here, but we do take a little license. And I've had some comments where somebody said, "Oh, the birds are real smooth." They are. They are very smooth. You know, even these tail feathers, if you really get down to it, you can't even hardly separate them. That they aren't, you know, they're there, but they're so soft. So we sort of make them a little more prominent than normal, okay? So there it is. We've got that coated pretty good. I'm going to just come in here, make sure that everything looks like it's coated pretty good. And if you look at what I have here, this is pretty white all throughout. If it doesn't have it, I'll just touch it up just a little bit at the end. Now, without using the hair dryer, because the next process I'm going to show you on the next video, and that's where we actually paint it. Most of these feathers underneath here, we've burned them in. At least I did, but I was saying that you could lift these as well. I gave you choices. I used the technique of burning these in rather than lifting them because I wanted a softer look in the breast area. A lot of times I'll try to make the breast feathers more prominent, but it's all depending on the bird and the technique you want to use, okay? So I'm going to let this sit and dry, and then what we're going to do on the next video is we're going to start the painting. So this sets you up here. You can see what I've done here. I'm flipping this around so you can get an idea, and we will proceed on with the painting on the next video. And I hope you enjoyed what I tried to show you. And if you did, I'd ask you to give me a thumbs up. And if you have anybody that you know that may be interested in wanting to try this, if you could pass my channel information on to them, I'd appreciate it too. I'm trying to grow the channel as best I can. And with your help, that would be great. So if you're in a club or something like that and you just want to have people try doing the birds, I think I have a method that I've taught over the years. Like I said, I've been teaching probably close to 50 years, and not all of it was power. At one time, I used a knife, and then I switched over to power. So this is all power carving, and I prefer that. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you on the next video. And we should be getting to fly this bird and get it mounted before you know it. I painted over the eye, so don't even worry about that. I want you to not worry about that. You just go right over the eye and everything. That was the way you want to do it. I'll show you later how we clean up the eye. That's an easy thing, okay? So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.